Most people don't live broke because they lack money. They live broke because they lack philosophy. You see, it's not what's in your wallet that determines your future, it's what's in your mind. The truth is, wealth doesn't begin in the bank. It begins in your beliefs, your behavior, and your daily disciplines. Now, let me ask you a question. If we gave $10,000 to a man with a poor mindset, what would he do with it? He'd spend it, flaunt it, or fear it. But give the same $10,000 to someone with a wealthy mindset and he'd multiply it. Why? Because money is never the master, it's always the mirror. Tonight I want to talk to you about why 97% of people stay broke, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually broke. And why the 3% seem to attract prosperity like it's magnetized to their character. You don't have to be part of the 97%, but you do have to think differently, and if you're willing, I'll show you how. Let's begin. Let me tell you something I learned early, something that separates the broke from the wealthy, not just in the bank account, but in mindset, in philosophy, and in how they approach each day. Most people are addicted to comfort. They'll choose the soft pillow of routine over the sharp edge of growth. The 97%, they want cozy, they want ease. They pray for Fridays and dread Mondays. They do just enough to survive, but never enough to thrive. They don't realize that the same comfort they chase is quietly stealing their future. Now, the 3%, they see things differently. They understand that comfort is not the goal growth is. While the majority ask, how can I make life easier? The few ask, how can I make myself better? That shift in question rewrites their destiny. I remember working as a stock clerk, stacking shelves, thinking that's all there was for me. It was safe, predictable, even comfortable. But I realized comfort was costing me the life I could have built. So I traded that ease for the discomfort of discipline, and it paid me back in ways that job never could. A man once said, all growth begins at the end of your comfort zone. That wasn't just poetry, it was principle. The farmer doesn't sit in comfort, hoping the crops grow. He toils. He sweats. He gets his hands dirty because the harvest only belongs to those who labor beyond what's easy. If you wake up every day avoiding pressure, avoiding challenge, then you're also avoiding wealth. Wealth is forged in the furnace of discomfort, late nights of study, hard conversations, saying no to pleasure today for the promise of tomorrow. It's not glamorous in the moment, but it's golden in the end. And here's the secret most never learn. Comfort is a silent thief. Growth is a wise investor. One takes without asking. The other multiplies what you sow. So if you ever wonder why the 97% stay broke, look no further than their obsession with ease. And if you want to step into the 3%, start by stepping away from comfort. Most people are taught from the very beginning that the only way to earn is to exchange hours for dollars. They grow up believing that time is money, so they trade their time, their energy, even their dreams for just enough to get by. And that might get you a paycheck, but it won't get you freedom. The 97% clock in and clock out, hoping for a raise, waiting for someone else to determine their worth. But let me tell you, real wealth isn't made by working harder. It's made by thinking smarter. Now the 3%, they see time as a seed, not a wage. They plant systems, not just effort. They build machines businesses, investments, intellectual property that keep working even when they're asleep. I remember a man I once knew. He worked 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. His hands were calloused, his spirit worn, but he believed that's what it took to make it. Then one day he said to me, I'm tired, but at least I'm honest. And I told him, honesty is good, but if you're honestly on the wrong road, you'll still end up in the wrong place. See, the 3% understand leverage. They know how to take what they've learned, what they've built, and multiply it without multiplying their time. A wise man once said, give me a lever long enough, and I can move the world. That's how the wealthy think. They write a book once, and it sells for decades. They build a product once, and it generates value for years. That's not magic, it's mastery of time. Time is a currency far more valuable than cash because it's the only thing you can't earn back. So why spend it like it's endless? If every day you're exchanging hours for dollars without building a system, you're buying your future with pennies. Wealth isn't about being busy. It's about being effective. It's about building something that doesn't just work for you today, but keeps working long after you've stopped. That's the quiet secret of the 3%, and the trap the 97% never see. You can always tell where a person is headed by watching how they spend when no one's watching. The 97%, they spend based on how they feel. When they're stressed, they swipe the card. When they're bored, they buy. When they're trying to impress, they splurge on things that fade. Emotional spending, it's a silent thief. It steals not only your wealth, but your discipline. And the worst part? It always feels good in the moment. But feelings fade, the bills don't. Now the 3%, they don't just spend, they allocate. They look at every dollar as a seed, not a treat. They don't ask, what can this buy me today? They ask, quote, what can this build me tomorrow? I remember a young man who came to me once, proud of the brand new car he bought on credit. I asked him, is it taking you to the bank or from it? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. He was emotionally broke long before he was financially broke. There's an old saying, a fool and his money are soon parted. But I like to add a wise man and his money become lifelong partners. The 3% build that kind of relationship. They don't invest based on hype. They invest based on value. They don't chase trends, they study principles. The wealthy don't ask if something is shiny, they ask if it's sustainable. They understand compound interest, not just the kind that grows in the bank, but the kind that grows in character, in knowledge, in discipline. One man buys a $5 coffee every day without thinking, and another uses that same $5 to invest in a book that could change his mindset. Over a year, one has memories of mocha lattes. The other has a mind that can build assets. Small decisions, big difference. Wealth doesn't come to those who spend when they're excited. It comes to those who pause, evaluate, and redirect. Every dollar you spend emotionally is a vote for your current comfort. Every dollar you invest wisely is a vote for your future freedom. Motivation is a fleeting visitor, exciting when it arrives, but unreliable and unpredictable. The majority wait for that burst of energy, that spark that makes them feel ready before they take action. They wait for inspiration to strike before they decide to save, to work harder, or to learn something new. But waiting for motivation is like waiting for the wind to blow your ship. You might wait forever and drift nowhere. The 97% are often stuck in this waiting game, and it's one of the reasons they stay broke. The 3%, however, understand something deeper. They know that motivation is not the foundation of success. Discipline is. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It's the quiet force that pushes you to take action even when you don't feel like it. When I was starting out, I didn't wait for a mood to strike before I studied or worked. I made it a habit. I cultivated discipline like a farmer tends to his crops, knowing that without consistent effort, no harvest would come. There's a saying that has always stayed with me. Discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment. It's the wisdom of ages, from the philosophers to the great industrialists of the past. Discipline does not ask for permission, it simply moves forward. It shows up whether you feel motivated or not. And when you build discipline, you begin to shape your character, your habits, and ultimately your wealth. Think about the difference between someone who saves $1 every day because they are committed and someone who saves only when they feel like it. One builds a fortress of wealth, the other builds sandcastles that wash away with the tides of emotion. The 3% build systems, routines, and habits that keep them moving forward regardless of the weather inside their mind. Wealth is not a product of waiting for the perfect feeling. It's the reward for those who act despite how they feel. Cultivate discipline, and you will never depend on motivation to succeed. Many people live their lives trying to dodge responsibility, as if it's a heavy burden meant only for others to bear. The 97% often point fingers when things go wrong. They blame the economy, bad luck, or circumstances beyond their control. They say, if only this or that had been different, I'd be successful. But wealth never comes to those who wait for perfect conditions or who blame others for their misfortunes. It is not built on excuses or shifting blame. The 3%, on the other hand, understand a simple but powerful truth. To grow rich, you must own everything in your life, your choices, your failures, and your successes. This is not about self-blame or beating yourself up. It's about absolute ownership. When you take full responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become the architect of your destiny. Early in my career, I faced many setbacks, some due to my mistakes, others due to outside forces. But what made the difference was my refusal to play the victim. Instead of saying, the market isn't good, or I didn't get the right breaks, I asked myself, what can I do differently? What lesson can I learn here? This mindset, owning every piece of the puzzle, is what separates those who stay broke from those who create lasting wealth. A wise man once said, you must take personal responsibility. You cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. That's the essence of ownership. The moment you embrace your role fully, you gain the freedom to change your future. The 3% don't wait for opportunities to knock, they create them because they own their lives completely. When you stop avoiding responsibility, you stop living a life of limitations. You step into the power that builds wealth and builds character. That ownership is the foundation that turns dreams into reality. Most people live their lives anchored firmly in the present moment, focused only on what's immediately in front of them. The 97% think day to day, paycheck to paycheck, making decisions based on instant gratification or short-term convenience. They say, I'll worry about tomorrow when it comes. But in doing so, they lose sight of the bigger picture. Living this way is like planting a seed and never watering it because you only care about what the plant looks like today, not what it can become. In contrast, the 3% think in decades. They understand that wealth is not built overnight. It is the result of steady, consistent actions taken over years. These individuals visualize their lives and finances far beyond the present moment. They plan, save, and invest with the understanding that time is their greatest ally. This long-term vision changes how they make decision sacrifices today, become investments in their future freedom. I remember when I first started, I was tempted by small pleasures, the instant rewards that distracted me from the long road ahead. But the greatest teachers I encountered drilled this into me. Don't let what you want now sabotage what you want most. That meant choosing discipline over indulgence, patience over impatience. Wealth isn't about quick wins. It's about a lifetime of smart choices building momentum. Think of a farmer who plans his harvest years in advance, preparing the soil, selecting the best seeds, and trusting in the seasons. Wealth works the same way. The 3% live with the mindset of decades, knowing that the seeds they plant now will feed generations to come. If you want to be part of the 3%, you must step beyond the urgency of the present and embrace the patience of time. Your future self will thank you for the vision you hold today. There's a powerful difference in how people choose to spend their free time. The 97% seek entertainment, looking for distraction, comfort, and a break from the demands of life. They're drawn to the flashing lights of the television, the endless scroll of social media, or the latest trending fad. This constant search for amusement numbs the mind and steals precious hours that could be invested in growth. Entertainment satisfies the moment, but rarely enriches the soul or the wallet. On the other hand, the 3% seek education. They recognize that every minute spent learning is a seed planted for future prosperity. These individuals read books, listen to lectures, attend seminars, and surround themselves with ideas that challenge and expand their understanding. Education, in its broadest sense, is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's not just about formal schooling, but about a hunger for knowledge that fuels personal and financial transformation. Early in my journey, I saw the value of continuous learning. When others were relaxing in front of the television, I was poring over books and listening to tapes by thinkers who had carved paths I wished to follow. One of the great minds of the past said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. That stuck with me. The difference between those who prosper and those who don't often lies in their willingness to educate themselves beyond what's required. Seeking education is not always easy. It demands sacrifice and focus. But the rewards are unmistakable. Knowledge breeds confidence, which breeds action, which breeds wealth. If you want to rise above the 97%, you must fall in love with the process of learning and hunger for growth every single day. Choose education over entertainment, and you're choosing a path toward lasting success. Fear of failure is one of the greatest chains that bind the majority to a life of struggle and limitation. The 97% see failure as a catastrophe, a permanent mark of defeat that must be avoided at all costs. This fear paralyzes them, causing hesitation and inaction. They avoid risks, stick to what's comfortable, and settle for less because the possibility of falling short looms too large. But in doing so, they unknowingly guarantee their continued struggle. The 3%, however, see failure through a different lens. They understand that failure is not the enemy, but a necessary teacher. Every stumble, every setback is an opportunity to learn, to recalibrate, and to grow stronger. Rather than fearing failure, they leverage it, extracting valuable lessons and using those lessons as stepping stones toward success. Failure becomes a tool, not a trap. In my own life, I have faced failures that seemed like devastating blows at the time. But with hindsight, I realized they were the very experiences that shaped my character and sharpened my skills. One wise voice from the past reminds us, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again. This time, more intelligently. Holding this truth close made all the difference. It allowed me to keep moving forward when many would have given up. The 3% know that failure is temporary, but the lessons it teaches are permanent. They don't retreat when the path gets rough. They lean in, adapt, and keep pressing forward. The more they fail and learn, the closer they get to the success they seek. So, if you want to be among the 3%, change your relationship with failure. Stop fearing it. Start using it. Failure, when embraced, can become the greatest ally on your road to wealth. Many people have dreams and desires. They set goals that sound impressive and inspiring. But the vast majority, the 97%, stop there. They have goals without plans, like a ship setting sail without a map or a compass. Their intentions may be strong, but without a clear strategy, they drift aimlessly, buffeted by the winds of distraction and circumstance. It's no wonder so many dreams never become reality. As the old saying goes, a goal without a plan is just a wish. The 3%, on the other hand, understand that vision alone is not enough. They couple their goals with well-thought-out strategies, creating a detailed roadmap toward achievement. This is not about grandiose plans written on napkins. It's about actionable steps, deadlines, and consistent review. They understand that strategy is the bridge between desire and accomplishment. Without it, effort dissipates and progress stalls. From my experience, the most important lesson I learned early on was the power of planning. I remember when I first dreamed of financial independence. That dream was powerful. But it was my willingness to break it down into monthly, weekly, and daily actions that transformed it into reality. I tracked my progress carefully, made adjustments, and held myself accountable. Without a plan, the goal would have been just another distant hope. Another timeless insight comes from a great thinker who said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." This reminds us that preparation and strategy multiply effectiveness. The 3% sharpen their axes. They plan before they act and act according to the plan. If you want to rise above the 97%, don't just set goals. Strategize, prepare, and execute with intention. Goals without plans leave you wandering. Goals with strategy lead you straight to success. As we draw this journey to a close, remember this. Wealth is not a matter of luck or mere chance. It is shaped by how we think, what we value, and the choices we make every day. The 97% remain broke because they settle for comfort, trade time for money, and avoid responsibility. But the 3%, those who build lasting wealth, choose growth over ease, create systems that work for them, and take full ownership of their lives. This isn't just about money. It's about adopting a mindset that empowers you to design the life you deserve. Change begins with a decision to think differently, to act differently, and to refuse the status quo. Start by examining where you are, investing your time, your energy, and your resources. Ask yourself if your actions today are building the foundation for your future or simply maintaining the present. Seek education over entertainment, strategy over wishful thinking, and discipline over fleeting motivation. I urge you to take that first step now. Write down your goals, craft a plan, and commit to follow through, no matter how small the step. Wealth is created by those who refuse to be spectators in their own lives. Be among the 3%. Embrace the mindset, take responsibility, and make your life a masterpiece of deliberate action and lasting success.